Hello future conservationists, my name is Mrs. Foes. I'm the instructor of this course, and I wanted to make this video as a short introduction so that you are familiar with what your responsibilities are, how the course is set up, and what the schedule will be like. So if you're reading this, listening, you made it into Blackboard. This is Aldo Leopold. You're learning lots more about him. And you'll come into announcements, and I will make a new announcement each week over your responsibilities. And then I will also send those as an email, so as long as you're checking your email, you'll be up to date with what's going on in this course. Okay. So the first content area you'll go into is Getting Started. You'll watch the video. You'll find my instructor information. Note, response time to emails within 2 business days generally. Please make sure if you need help, you're asking early. I'm happy to help, but I can't promise to get back to you in time if you have an urgency. This is the textbook we will need. You will need a copy. You don't need to keep it forever though, so make sure you have access. Some of the homework questions will come from the book. And then there's just additional info, study methods. That's a fun video. And course competencies. So these are the competencies for the course and what chapters will reach them. Basically, we've got 4 sections to this textbook. We're going to start out looking at biodiversity, the variety of life, and its importance. Second, we'll look at the threats to that biodiversity. And then third/fourth, we'll look at how we maintain and manage that biodiversity, as well as the social factors and political factors that are important for them. One really important thing for an online class is preventing plagiarism. I take it very seriously. I want to make sure that the work you're doing is your own. You are more than welcome to use external sources as long as you properly cite and give them credit. And that's true even on the quizzes. I know you're at home, I know you have access to the content, and you will in life. But you need to be able to cite that. As long as you give the source credit, you're good. And taking a source's work and changing the order of it isn't okay unless you give them credit. You need to make sure no matter what, if you get an idea from somewhere, you give them credit. If it's from our textbook, you can just say textbook. And then here's our academic calendar. You'll see this changes every semester, but you'll click on the appropriate calendar and it'll tell you important dates, such as the last day to drop or add, and then the last day for a W. Right? So make sure you're looking at the proper semester. If it's not 2019, make sure you're looking at the right one, and that you're doing what you need to do to be successful. And if you're not, that you withdraw by the withdrawal date. Okay. So that is that Getting Started tab. And then you'll go into our syllabus and calendar, and I'll pull both those up. So the syllabus is pretty straightforward. On the top of it. It's 3 credits, a first bi-term class. Normally, I teach these 3 credit classes in 17 weeks or so. So we have less than a third of the time to get all this content done. So each of the weeks here is really like 3.5 weeks of work. So taking 2 classes this way is the same as being full credit load. So you need to make sure that you are up for this, that you have the time to complete 3 weeks worth of class in a week. And that could be anywhere from 5 to 10 hours of work, depending on the week, and then we'll have projects on top of that. So make sure you know what you're getting into. My contact information again, information on the textbook, those course competencies again that we've seen. This course does not require a proctored exam. Your final project will go in the place of that. Basically, by completing it, you'll show that you understand all the important topics. You'll apply content from each chapter. Withdrawal policy, grievance procedures, you need to look through this. If you have accommodations, they just need to be emailed me from the person in charge of ADA at your school. If you go to Sky, it's Sharita Clark. Grades, homework. So each week we'll have a few things going on. We'll have a quiz. We'll have a case study. That's where you apply the content that you learned about that week to a real life scenarios. We'll have a discussion board over that week's content. And then we'll have a few additional things. You'll do an endangered species paper. It's not too bad. You'll do a service or applied learning, where you'll go out into the world and apply what we're learning. It's my favorite. And then instead of a final, you'll have your management project, where you apply your knowledge from the semester to help manage and preserve either an endangered species or ecosystem. So this is a little more content on each of those. And then we'll get to our weekly schedule. An important note here is that Blackboard is in Eastern Time, and I found it's really hard for students if I put due dates in Central Time, because it shows it's due the next day at 1:59 a.m. and it's a mess. So I make sure everything is due by Eastern Time, 11:59 p.m. on the day that it's due. So make sure if you're in Central Time, that would be the same as 10:59 p.m., so an hour earlier. Late work for each week, 20% off per day late, and after 4 days, it's not worth any credit. This class goes so fast that you can't really get farther behind than that. You really need to make sure that you're organized, you have a plan of when you're going to complete this work. If you don't have a plan, you won't get it done. Okay, and last, roster verification. So in face-to-face classes, if a student doesn't show up, we say they're a no-show, they get dropped from the course, and they don't get charged. Online, we don't really have the same deal. Instead, I have a syllabus introduction quiz that you take. And as long as you take that by the due date, you're in the class, you've shown that you're working on it, and you have to make sure to do that on time. Okay. Then let's look at our calendar. So I've got the calendar by week, and then you'll see there's lecture videos to watch, a discussion board to complete, case studies, and sometimes projects. And you'll see these in the weekly modules on Blackboard. Let's check that out. Okay. So each week, you'll have a module. Week 1, discussion board. One thing that I do with discussion board is you don't see anything until you create the thread. And the instructions will be in the front, as well as where you're completing that thread. Okay. And once you do that, you have to respond to 3 other students. I love discussion boards. I think it's wonderful for students to get to know each other and to really feel like you're part of something. Make sure you're always kind and respectful. It's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to be rude. Please be kind, and if you have other ideas, use some sources. Okay. And then quizzes will generally be 30 minutes. Some short answer, matching, multiple choice. And then if you use external sources, you need to make sure that you cite them. It will submit for you after 30 minutes, so make sure that you're keeping track of your time. I recommend going through the test. You'll see all the questions at once. They won't go away. And answer the ones that you're best at first, and then go through and answer the rest that you can. And then lecture videos. So something like this. You'll see links to them, and you'll watch them before you take the quiz and do the homework. Okay. And then PowerPoints. So for each lecture, each topic, there's a PowerPoint that goes along with it. So what I recommend doing is I recommend printing each PowerPoint, but not full page slides. I recommend doing 6 slides at once. And then you'll have those to take notes as you watch the lecture video. I really recommend watching all of these. It hurts my heart when students don't, because it's the best and really only way to get this content. You can read the book, but a lot of the things that I add are separate, and I think that it's just easier to understand if you watch a video on it and you see more pictures. Okay? So you'll have the PowerPoint to go along with that lecture video for each chapter. Please use these resources. And then in additional materials, you'll see how to access your grades, maybe some interesting articles and resources, like our school library, community resources, and then I've got the plagiarism in there again because I think it's really important. If you're not sure how to cite anything, there's really easy ways to learn. There's online websites that help. Purdue Owls is really good. Between APA or MLA, those are two different citation styles. I don't care what you use. Use whatever is used in the career you want to go into. Okay? So just make sure, the main things I want you to get out of this lecture video are that you are welcome here, I'm here to help you, and you need to make sure you follow the guidelines that I've set forth to be successful. I hope you have a great semester, and I really hope this class is applicable to your life and that it helps you maybe change your view on things or strengthen your view on things, or just realize different environmental factors that you hadn't thought about before. Please keep in touch if you have any questions. Have a great day.